Thanks for joining us. I'm Bree Stock, Master of Wine and Education Manager with the Oregon Wine Board. Today we're going to be discussing Oregon wine labeling regulations. A wine label is capable of expressing an immense amount of information in a very limited space. Oregon is unique among new and old world wine regions because Oregon producers, when establishing the region, chose to weave their intentions of quality and trueness to place into the state and federal labeling legislation. So Oregon's labels convey not just basic vintage and variety information, but the intent and character of the region's quality-minded producers. Winemaking in Oregon has always been crafted with the highest intent for understanding and expressing place. The founders of the Oregon industry believed in seeking the truest expressions of variety and place. With this in mind and an understanding of what was accepted in other wine regions, these pioneers committed to declarations to preserve the integrity of variety and place. Oregon producers believe when producing a product of place, like wine, protection and preservation of place is essential for building a high-quality region and for establishing long-term relationships with customers. For this reason, Oregon's declarations of origin are intentionally stricter than other regions in the U.S. If a wine is labeled as AVA Oregon, then 100% of those grapes must be grown in Oregon. If the wine is an AVA designate, such as the Willamette Valley or Dundee Hills or Southern Oregon, then 95% of the grapes must be sourced entirely from the designated AVA listed. These regulations are definitively stricter than the federal standards in the U.S., which allow 75% for state or county and 85% for AVA. In addition, if grapes are purchased from an Oregon AVA, yet trucked out of state for processing into wine, then that wine is only entitled to an Oregon AVA designate and not the AVA that they may have been grown in. Today, Oregon's varietal integrity is one of the highest committed to in either the Old or New World growing regions. Outside of Brunello and Rias Baixas, no other growing regions commit to greater than 85% varietal purity by law. In the U.S., federal regulations only ask for 75% purity, which begs the question, do we really know what we are drinking? In Oregon, you can be guaranteed that the varietal listed on the label is at least 90% of what is actually in the bottle, an important construct for those of us committed to learning how variety is reflected as place and quality and being true to and delivering customers' expectations. There are 18 varieties that are exempt from the strict varietal labeling. These are varieties that, in their homelands, have traditionally been blended or co-fermented together in the vineyard or cellar. These are the Bordeaux and Rhone varieties. What do these regulations mean in practice? For one, all must be 100% grown in Oregon grapes. An Oregon labeled wine is the only wine permitted to be made out of the state. If there is an AVA designate or a nested AVA designate, then 95% of the grapes must be grown in that designated AVA and 100% of the wine must be produced in Oregon. Given that more than 50% of our production is estate grown, wines labeled as an estate or single vineyard are held to more strict and specific labeling requirements. Additional certifications or terms that may be found on front or back labels are some of our certified sustainable logos. Given that 47% of our producers are certified sustainable, there may be an Oregon Till certified organic logo, a Demeter certified biodynamic logo, certified B Corp, or the Pacific Northwest Sustainable Certification, Live Certified and Salmon Safe, found on the back label. There are some producers who deliver further transparency by identifying named sites within the AVA similar to what the French would call a lodi. Their commitment to organic or biodynamic farming practices with the statement made with organic grapes, and even some producers who include ingredient labeling on their wines. Thanks for joining us today. I look forward to speaking to you again soon.